Let's open day 23. Our windy adventure. Day 23. A windy adventure. Snow White was visiting her 7 friends in the forest cottage. She woke up one windy morning to the sound of leaves blowing around outside her window. After the 7 friends marched off to the work, Snow White decided to clean up the cottage. Her woodland friends, an owl, a beaver, and a turtle, all helped. Snow White opened one of the kitchen cupboards. Potatoes, 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 she sighed. If only there was something different to eat. Suddenly, she had an idea. I know, I'll pick some fresh berries and nuts in the forest and bake a gooseberry nut pie. As Snow White and her animal friends walked into the forest, the wind whistled through the trees. It tangled Snow White's hair and made her cheeks turn pink, but she didn't mind. With all the juicy berries and fallen nuts they were collecting, she would be able to make a lovely pie that evening. Before long, she came to a fork in the trail. I've never taken the trail on the right before, she said, pointing to the long, shady path. It would be nice to go exploring, Snow White continued. I'm sure there are nuts and berries along that path too. Just then, a gust of wind blew her towards the new path. She laughed. I think that's a sign, don't you? She asked her friends. They headed down the trail and across a rickety wooden bridge. On the other side of the bridge, the trail wound left, then right, before opening into a sunlit grove. The clearing was filled with nut trees. How wonderful! Snow White exclaimed. She dashed from one to another. There were walnuts, chestnuts, and almond trees. The grove even had a cluster of gooseberry bushes. Snow White and her friends got to work, picking the nuts and berries in the grove. The wind whistled through the branches as Snow White filled her basket. Suddenly, a mighty gust snatched Snow White's cape right off her shoulders. Oh dear, she cried. She got up and began to chase the cape through the woods. The wind carried it down a pebbled path and past a large rock. It flew further and further away. Finally, the cape snagged on a tree branch. Snow White untangled it, but when she turned round, she realized she was lost. For a moment, Snow White was frightened. Then she put her hands on her hips. I'll just have to find my way back on my own, she said. Snow White looked around. Which way had she come from, the left or the right? Then she glanced at her feet. Her slippers were muddy. She left footprints in the dirt. I can follow my own tracks, she exclaimed. Snow White carefully followed her own trail of footprints, but soon the ground changed from dirt to pebbles. There weren't any footprints there. Suddenly, she noticed a large rock up ahead. I passed that when I chased my cape, she exclaimed. Snow White hurried towards the rock. Once she was there, she could see the grove in the distance. Owl, beaver, she called. Hearing her voice, the owl flew from the top of the walnut tree, and the beaver scrambled out to meet her. They both looked very relieved. I had such an adventure, Snow White told them, picking up her basket. Then she looked around. Oh, my! Is Turtle not here yet? She asked. What if he got lost the same way I did? We better go and find him. Snow White, Owl, and Beaver hurried back along the forest path. When they reached the river's edge, they discovered that the wooden bridge had broken. Oh no, Snow White cried. She could see the poor turtle. He was stranded on a rock in the middle of the water. The wind must have caused the bridge to fall. with him on it. "Don't worry, little turtle," she called. "I'll save you." But the water was rushing too fast for her to swim. How could she rescue the turtle and fix the bridge? "Owl, can you fly over?" Snow White said thoughtfully. "And Beaver is good at chewing. There must be something we can do." Suddenly, Snow White had an idea. She snapped a stick off a nearby tree and drew a picture of the broken bridge in the dirt. "Here's what we need to do," she exclaimed to her friends. "Owl, if you could fly over the other side and pick up the rope ends, Beaver can choose some new wooden stakes and I can hammer them into place. Together we can rebuild the bridge." The three friends went to work. The beaver liked to gnaw, so chewing new stakes from tree branches was easy for him. Once he had done, Snow White had hammered the stakes into the ground with a rock. Meanwhile, the owl flew across the river and took the ends of the ropes in his beak. But the bridge was too heavy, so he hooted to some of his bird friends to help him lift it out of the water. Then Snow White pulled the bridge taut and tied the ropes to the stakes. "Good as new," she cried. "Thank you, friends." Snow White quickly stepped onto the bridge. They had done such a good job it hardly swayed at all. Snow White saw the turtle waiting on the rock just below her, but the water was picking up speed. She stretched down as far as she could and scooped the turtle up into her arms just in time. A big gush of water washed right over the rocks just as Snow White picked him up. The turtle breathed a sigh of relief. He nuzzled Snow White to thank her. "That's what friends are for," she said with a smile. "I think that's enough adventure for one day. Let's head home to bake that pie." Together, the friends made their way back down the path. This time, they knew just where they were going. When they all got back to the cottage, Snow White baked a lovely gooseberry nut pie. Just as it was coming out of the oven, the 7 friends arrived home. That's mighty delicious looking," Bashful said softly. "Did you have any problems today?" Doc asked. Snow White winked at Owl, the beaver, and the turtle. "Nothing we couldn't handle," she replied. The end. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Do come back so we can read more books together. Please like and subscribe. Bye!